we're watching this video where this woman's very concerned about the books in her school and they need to be banned. They need to be struck from the record. They need to be dumped in a big pile and lit on fire, because the children should not know about the homos. They shouldn't. Now, the title of the video was "Conservatives Ally with like Conservative Muslims." Now they've changed the videos to "Conservatives Find an Unlikely Ally to Ban Books." I don't know why Vice changed the title. Honestly, the first title was kind of more interesting, I guess. But I guess maybe they got heat for it, or they thought this would be a better thing for the algorithm. Whatever it is, I wanted to watch this video about conservatives allying with conservative Muslims, conservative Christians allying with conservative Muslims to ban books in school. Let's watch.
To Dearborn, Michigan, where a battle is brewing in the nationwide campaign to...
Do streamers still do political panels? Yeah, just not as many as they used to. Just a lot less frequent.
Ban certain books from public school libraries.
Well done.
The Dearborn School Board is meeting to announce whether they'll remove a handful of books from their libraries. The books have been at the center of an intense firestorm for months. The fracas over these books is not unlike the fights that have played out at school boards across the country. Culture wars that we tend to associate with white conservative Christians.
Our children are being at risk. They're being groomed. Who puts this kind of stuff in schools?
It is straight up porn.
Public schools have vivid pornography in it, and these cops won't do anything about it.
But indeed,
I like the idea that cops like kicking down the door of like the school, like fucking guns drawn. Get on the floor, drop the book, drop the fucking book. I love that idea. I love it. Let's do it.
Dearborn, an unlikely alliance is formed. The city is over 40% Arab and traditionally votes Democratic, but this largely Muslim community also holds strong conservative social views.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
The two books that have drawn the most controversy here, This Book is Gay and Flamer, are both about teens struggling with their sexuality.
I don't know either of these books. Can we just look this up? This Book is Gay. Let's see what it's about. A funny, impertinent book. Oh my god, dude, people reviewed this book terribly. Oh my goodness, I kind of want to see the reviews, because I have a weird feeling that the reason this has such a terrible review isn't because all these people read this 200-page book, but is because on Goodreads it has a much higher rating. Is because of the people being angry about it. Is there like a reviews I can see? No, there isn't. There isn't many reviews I can see. There's only 2. Okay, what's the other one? Flamer. What's this book about? A funny, impertinent book about being bisexual, gay, lesbian, gay, or just curious for everybody, no matter the gender or sexuality. Okay. And what is Flamer? Flamer is a semi-autobiographical graphic novel. It is set in 1994 in a Boy Scout summer camp. It tells the story of Aiden, who was bullied for his appearance, including acting in a manner considered stereotypical of gay men. Huh. Well, that also seems to have a low rating, 51%. Not as bad as the other one, though. Okay. Well, let's get back to this.
You worried about the gay people? No problem. We're not worried about the gay people. We're worried about our children.
Schools are no place to teach children about the complexity of sexuality, gender identification, or sexually explicit material.
I mean, maybe the last one, you wait till they're of a bigger age, but like, can I be blunt? Like, why not? Why is it not? I mean, we talk to children about the complexities of race in school, don't we? We talk about like, you can't, if you want to, it would be impossible if you didn't want to talk about Martin Luther King or like racism, the civil rights movement. It'd be impossible. Like, it's impossible. And so if you're going to talk about the civil rights movement, there's no, like, in order to talk about the gay civil rights movement, you have to talk about what a gay person is, don't you? Like, you can't be like, so then there was this group of gays. Don't ask me what they are. Don't ask me what a gay is. Don't ask me. But there was this group that is gay. Now, what is gays? I can't say. Like, if you want to give that full perspective of history, you're going to have to talk to it to some extent, even if the discussion is a gay person is a man who likes men. And if you're a guy in here who likes men, that's also perfectly okay. Here, we'll accept you. Anyway, and just like something as simple as that. Simple as an accepting, simple message like that. Doesn't need to be like, if you, like, I don't know, if you tap your heels 3 times and do 3 backflips, you'll be indoctrinated into a homosexual. Now everybody tap your heels. Like, if some crazy stuff like that, obviously not. But there has to be some discussion if you're just going to have a historical conversation. And, I mean, school is supposed to, in part, prepare people for the real world. I don't think like, no discussion is really that rational.
Mike Hashem has been one of the most vocal figures in the fight.
What about like a current affairs class? Do we just like ban current affairs classes because, oh, they might mention something political in it? Like, come on.
Many of our parents and the students' parents do not understand what's going on in the schools. Those types of books, when you read one page, you're already disgusted at it. This teaches you to go against your parents, teaches you to go against your own self.
Talk me through it from the beginning. When and how were you first made aware?
What does that even mean? It teaches you to go against yourself. I don't even know what that means, or even what he's referring to.
Of this.
So obviously we've seen what was going around in the country at different school boards and things like that. We'd never expected these types of books to be in our schools. Up until I'd say a hero came up. Her name is Stephanie Butler.
God is here to protect us, and I can say my heart is now full, seeing the community come together in the name of protecting our children.
Stephanie Butler is a local realtor who saw what was happening across the country and became outraged after looking into the books in her daughter's school library. She was the one who originally filed a complaint about the books and rallied the community against them.
Burns is the sexual
morally corrupt, bankrupt man. Hey, Tamop 12, thank you for the tier 1 being sub for 23 months. Wow, you've really been pulling your weight in gutter chat. Even if you're in gutter chat, I still appreciate it. Thank you.
Of our children between the books, the assignments. If you would investigate and see all the things that I've seen and the amount of our kids that are turning that way, it's
turning what way?
Turning, gay and all this stuff. So basically, the government wants your kids from birth until through college. So they can indoctrinate them, make them think the way they want them to, like everything's normal. And it sounds like a hell of a good conspiracy theory. And I mean,
to some extent, the government, under any education system, is going to, quote unquote, indoctrinate your children. For example, what's this person's view of the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, look at that. Is that IRI rating with 259 people coming in here? Oh my goodness. Oh, look at them with the George Santos angel emote. Don't we all love George Santos? All my George Santos stans coming in here. Hey, I hope you guys hit the follow button, but I also hope you guys check out my brand new video on my YouTube channel that I released yesterday on how Ukraine is risking it all on Elon Musk. I put a lot of work into this. We show some original footage of an aid delivery that was made from Starlink. Here's that original footage right here. It's a really good video, put a lot of effort to it, and we're going to be making a lot of videos like this on the main channel in the future. So it's called Ukraine is Risking It All on Elon Musk. Go check it out. It's a great video. Go like it, comment on it, help it in the algorithm. We're really trying to push this new content. If you want to support the channel, you can support me on Patreon, which I'm trying to push. You can go to my website, DylanBurns.tv, donate, sub. If you got a primer, you can drop it. Any support you can drop as I'm trying to prepare to go back to Ukraine is greatly appreciated. And thank you, IRI, for sending me all of your C-SPAN addicts who they walk into a room and like there's like some cartoons or something. They start scratching their arms. They start getting fidgety because they're getting that itch for C-SPAN callers, man. For the C, because they're all C stands. C stands. Anyway, hope you guys watched the video. Hope you guys support the channel. Let's get back to the video we're watching. We're watching this video where this woman's very concerned about the books in her school and they need to be banned. They need to be struck from the record. They need to be dumped in a big pile and lit on fire. Because the children should not know about the homos. They shouldn't. Anyway, we're listening to her.
College, so they can indoctrinate them, make them think the way they want them to.
Oh yeah, but that's what I was saying. All schools, to some degree, definitely public schools, have to engage in indoctrination. Whether it is the Pledge of Allegiance is something that's indoctrination that I assume this woman would be more okay with, even though that is pledging allegiance to a country that has had slavery under its banner, that invaded and did atrocities in Vietnam, invaded Iraq, because you need national unity in any country to keep it together. And the Pledge of Allegiance was like one way for young people to engage with that idea of national unity, loyalty to your nation, right? But there's no crusade from them to stop that, because that's not something they care about. That indoctrination is fine for them. But the indoctrination of telling people that being gay is okay, that's too far. That crosses the line. That's not okay. I'm fine with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm also fine with kids reading books about homosexuality as long as it's age appropriate. But from the last person talking, the last interviewee, they don't even want homosexuality to ever be discussed in school at all. How are you going to teach about Stonewall if you don't know what being gay is? What do you expect to shelter your kid from the reality of homosexuality? For how long? The conversation doesn't need to get into like my favorite ways to fist other men or something, like the teachers in the front. Like I like to do the old twisties. Okay. I like the twisties. He doesn't need to do that. It could just be as simple as being homosexual is liking somebody of your own gender, a man who likes other men, a girl who likes other girls. They exist, and it's okay to be that. It can be as simple as that, but they disregard the idea of that ever being discussed in a classroom altogether. That's not appropriate for children. But covering genocides, war, death, destruction, murder, slavery, torture, war crimes, the bombing of Nagasaki, all of that, that's age appropriate in history class. But don't tell them that during all of those horrific crimes, some boys kiss boys. How do you even cover the Holocaust without knowing what homosexuality is? Considering how many homosexuals were killed in it. How do you cover any of these topics? What about a current affairs topic? Again, let's continue. It just seems silly to me.
Like everything's normal, and it sounds like a hell of a good conspiracy theory, and I wish it was. I really do.
Do you feel like this struggle that you're in the middle of, do you think it pertains to conservative Islamic values as well? Is there an overlap there? Is that why this coalition is happening?
Yeah, there's a huge overlap. A lot of our values are the same.
And these people from across the various ethnic and religious communities, was that surprising to you?
No, only because I live here in Dearborn, so I know like what their values are. I think it was surprising to a lot of people. I was painted as a white Christian nationalist, basically that was leading all these ethnic people off a cliff, insinuating that these people are not educated and they don't know how to think for themselves.
And I'm not saying you're leading them off a cliff, but are you a leader in this, call it a movement?
Oh, absolutely. In the south end of Dearborn, it's predominantly Yemeni, and they call me the mother of the south end.
One of the biggest sources of tension is a single page in the book Flamer, where some kids are playing a prank on the...
Oh, wait. Do they show anything on screen? Let me bring it off screen.
The main character, pretending to masturbate into a bottle and telling him that the person who doesn't climax has to drink it.
Okay.
Nothing explicit is shown. Some of the
Wait, is that really? Okay, can I be for real? Okay? That's gross. It's ew. And if I knew that was in a book, I probably wouldn't give it to my kids. But if I knew that was in a school library, I wouldn't. Can I be honest? I don't know if I would be that freaked out. I think like the best case scenario is you'd be like, this is the bookcase for like 16 and up. And this is the bookcase for everyone for like 13 and up. And this is the bookcases for everyone. and like making age appropriate sections for books, I think would be like the best middle ground. Because if that's all that it takes to get rid of that, then like, I mean, there's a lot of books that are of historical significance that cover much darker and worse topics than that I do think that people can engage with intellectually. Like a lot of Mark Twain's novels, which uses a lot of racial slurs, which I still think should be taught in schools. I still think that a lot of novels which cover genocide, and for example, Mouse, which is a book about the Holocaust, shows the naked bodies of these personifications of Jews in the way of mice, but it shows their naked bodies as they're being loaded in the gas chambers. Is that appropriate? It actually got banned in a school district because of those naked bodies. And so while that was definitely explicitly not explicit as in it showed explicit images, the theme was explicit. I think the best solution to that book, like, it's not a pornographic book. They're describing the experience of that particular, that specific gay person who was being bullied, and he's expressing that he's telling the truth about how he's being bullied, is put like an age gate on who can access that book.
Key figures in the fight are a little fuzzy on the details.
So these books we're talking about, how do you have access to them?
We know the titles, and we did our research.
And then you read the books?
Partially. I don't want to read the whole book, just to...
Why?
It's just a moral thing with me.
I found the part that you guys are...
Wait. I'm sorry, what?
Partially.
I'm sorry. If you want to ban a book, right? The least you can do is read the book, right? Like, if I was to be like, guys, I think that that Adam Sandler movie, Uncut Gems, terrible movie. Awful. His other work is much better. Very bad. And you guys are like, what? What do you mean? Everybody loved Uncut Gems. Everybody thought that it showed that Adam Sandler is an incredible actor, that he could be a great actor when he wants to be, and it was a fantastic film. And I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't know. I watched like the first 30 minutes of it, but then I got like bored because like nobody was like shot or anything. And I don't know. Like that would, like, you guys would get angry at me because you're like, you didn't even give it a fair shake. You don't even know what the book was truly about, what its conclusions were, what it really taught anyone. Like, you don't know like how good if you didn't watch the full thing, how are you gonna say it was bad? And he's not even saying the book was bad. He's saying it should be banned.
I don't want to read the whole book, just to...
Why?
It's just a moral thing with me.
I found the part that you guys...
What does that even mean? It's just a moral thing with me, right? Moral what? That if you read 2 or 3, if you read more than 5 pages, you're going to be dignifying this book? It just, I don't know. It doesn't... Like, he could just be like, oh, I don't need to read the whole book to see this one particular portion and da-da-da-da. He could just say that. Not, well, it's against my morality to read the whole book. Get the hell out of here, right? Could you imagine if historians were like, we should probably read that Mein Kampf book for, like, historical reasons, but I disagree with, I didn't read Mein Kampf as somebody who studied Adolf Hitler for moral reasons. Because I didn't want to, like, give him any attention. Like, no, it wouldn't make sense in any other context.
Are talking about, but like, I'm having trouble, like, seeing.
So read this part.
All right. We're each busting a load into this bottle. If you don't come, you have to drink it. Ha 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 ha.
The context of it, what does that refer to?
You don't know the context because you haven't read the page before or the page after.
But what does that refer to?
They're hinting. That's part of the joke. Have your kids read these books?
I don't have any kids.
Oh, you don't have kids?
I don't have kids. I plan on having kids.
Yeah. If you had kids, do you think this book would make your kids drink cum?
My kids, first of all...
I'm sorry. I was muted. I was dying laughing. I'm sorry. I was collapsing. Holy moly. People give Vice a lot of crap. But this This is journalism. This is real journalism. Amen. Amen.
Oh, you don't have kids?
I don't have kids. I plan on having kids.
Yeah. If you had kids, do you think this book would make your kids drink cum?
My kids, first of all, will not be...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Reading those types of books. Second of all, when someone is 18, they could do whatever they want.
Drink as much cum as they want.
Whatever they want.
Dude, who is this reporter? I love him. I love him.
How is this representing the LGBT youth community? Do they want to be represented as a bunch of like sexual deviants?
Dude, I'm sorry. I didn't even like skip through that because that like illustration was so ungraphic that like I just didn't get. Maybe the words on it were bad. I'm not gonna go back and check for because Twitch reasons, but like it was so not graphic. I didn't even like bother to skip it. Like it's like that just looked like a biology chart. Like I maybe the words are bad. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe the words are bad.
The media specialists have completed the initial review process of the following books that have been formally challenged. This book is gay, and All Boys Aren't Blue. Both were found to be...
By the way, I just gotta say, the title, This Book is Gay, fantastic.
...appropriate for high school students.
Wait.
Following books that have been formally challenged. This book is gay, and All Boys Aren't Blue.
Okay, I don't know what the blue book is, but Flamer, if that's the only explicit like part of Flamer, and we're talking about high school students, I thought we were talking about like elementary and middle. And that's why I was like, okay, well, you know, that's maybe we make these bookshelves for that. We're talking high school. We're talking high school. High school? Dog. Like once you're 16, 17, you should be able to look at a biology chart. You should be able to hear the word come without like just like dying, right? Combusting and like being like, oh God, I heard the word come. I gotta go drink some. Oh, I heard it. I'm sorry. Like they're like in the like the teacher's banging on the bathroom door. Like get out of there. And it's like, I'm sorry. All the kids are doing the spermies. What's the spermies? It's this hot new trend where everybody's just like doing shots of their own loads in the bathroom because they've all been reading Flamer. That isn't gonna happen. If we're talking about 16, 17, 18, like that age group, I literally don't, I don't care. If the book that we just saw is a general representation of the books we're talking about, I don't care. I would have to go read This Book is Gay to say that part of Flamer seems to be the part that we hear the most, right? But if we're talking 16, 17, 18, I don't care if they read that book at all. And if that's the general tenor of what we're talking about, and we're talking high school, I don't care. I couldn't care less.
Both were found to be appropriate for high school students.
The board did not rule on Flamer.
Clear, kids of their age is also learning about sex because of sex ed, because we've all deemed as a society that teaching kids how to use condoms and not catch AIDS is useful.
This meeting. They later found that it was also appropriate for high school students. The decision came as a relief for teachers like Jane Mazza.
I'm so tired of people saying that teachers are indoctrinating kids and that we're pedophiles and that we're...
Well, that's what an indoctrinating pedophile would say. Isn't that right, Chad? I'm kidding.
We're peddling smut. We're just trying to teach and get these kids where they need to be. There's 1,800 teachers in our union. And every day they come to work and they work so hard and they spend their own money and they give every inch of their soul to these kids in this community, and to have them attack like this, it just rips my heart.
I'm gonna burn this book, and then you can reorder it 100 times, and then parents can have their kids check it out.
You're actually going to burn the library book?
Well, no, but they're not getting it back. That's the one about coming in a bottle and drinking it, and you know, masturbation and this and
also about saving someone who's trying to commit suicide and how it's important.
Oh my God, that was like a drive-by shooting. She was like a blood walking up on the Crips, and just kept going and just come up. Hey, this book's called Flamer. That was a burn. That was a burn from Dylan. I'll stop. But like, again, like if we're talking high schoolers, Like, are we really saying that when you're 16, you're like, masturbation, oh, like you really just don't know? You just don't know how those parts work? If your kid is 16 and 17 and doesn't know what masturbation is, your kid is either probably developmentally disabled, that's understandable, or unbelievably sheltered, and one day a girl's gonna kiss them and they're just gonna like everywhere. They're gonna finish in their own pants. They're gonna embarrass themselves, and they're gonna throw themselves off a bridge because they've embarrassed themselves so much because like you're sheltering them too much. If at the age of 16, 17, they don't know what masturbation is.
Masturbation and this
And also about saving someone who's trying to commit suicide. And how it was important. And he was a Boy Scout.
well, they could do that
He was
without,
a Boy Scout and
but
an
they
altar
can do
boy.
that without the sex.
He was a Boy Scout and
Why
an
do the
altar
kids
boy.
need to be represented like
You're
that?
picking one page.
You cannot talk about coming of age at 16, 17 as anyone, like, and give a full encapsulation of that experience without talking about the teenage urges around that. It's impossible to cover that experience. And we're talking about high schoolers here. I thought we were talking about middle schoolers and elementary schoolers. And that's why I'm like, okay, I agree that these people, for good reasons, maybe should have the books separate and stuff like that. But if we're talking about high schoolers, like you're just whining. Come on.
Age.
Yeah, well, funny you call us when you...
Take your 15 minutes of fame.
Okay, honey, white Nazi, remember we helped you...
Your 15 minutes of fame. Oh, snap. Oh my gosh, that was a union endorsed. Oh my goodness. Somebody call... Dude, I hope they have a good fire department over there, and they better get it over to school quickly, because that building's about to burn to the ground.
When you...
Take your 15 minutes of fame.
Okay, honey, white Nazi, remember we helped you, Jane. She's the teacher union president. She's a bitch.
Damn, she's so salty. She's so salty.
So what's next?
What's next is we plan on doing a school board recall, and we have filed a lawsuit against...
Imagine, really? A school board recall over this? Really? Okay. Yeah, sure. Good luck.
The school, under the guise of concerned parents. I mean, our ultimate goal is to like stop sexualizing the kids and just let them be kids.
I'm sorry, but when I was 16, I'm gonna be for real with you, I was finding everywhere and anywhere. Like I would screw anything that moved as long as it was around my age and it consented and I thought it was hot. Men or women, okay? If I'm being for real with you. Even if I didn't completely accept the men part, okay? And most men my age probably had a similar experience where their hormones are acting up, they're young, they're having feelings they never felt before, right? And you really think that by not having a book that mentions masturbation to a bunch of 16-year-olds, you're shielding them from that? You can shield them from that topic? There's a reason why abstinence education does not work. When you like a 16-year-old, when you talk about letting them be kids, letting a 16-year-old be a 16-year-old is very different than letting a 7-year-old be a 7-year-old. And we cannot just pretend that like between 17 and 18, some magical transformation happens where once they hit 18, all of a sudden, like they get all the pornographic images just flowing through their head, like out of nowhere, they start getting boners and they're like, oh my God, now that I'm 18, now I have sexual feelings. That happens before that, because that's just how humans work. There's no like solid line on sexual development. But high school, like this is the time when children should be taught sex education and should be given a general idea about some of the deeper stuff behind sexuality, right? When we're talking about middle school and elementary school, I'm perfectly fine with it not going past some boys like boys, some girls like girls, and that's okay. And like no further than that. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that. But high school, get out of here. Come on. I mean... I hate to say it, but like your kid's gonna be like a 40-year-old virgin if you don't like set them straight, man. Or they'll just figure it out on their own and they'll learn all about sex from terrible kind of like porn videos on Pornhub, which will give them a distorted view of how these types of interactions go. And so then they'll think that all the like, oh, I don't know, girls like to be choked, right? And they'll just reenact what they saw on the internet, which everybody should know if they saw, internet porn and then actually did real stuff. right? Like went out there and actually had sex, that what you see on the internet is very different than what sex is in most instances. Porn is very unrealistic. Anyway, 200 bits from ACREAL. What do you think is worse, the book that was banned or the phone in the kid's pocket? True. Or the podcast they're listening to.
So you guys have had some challenging couple of months. There's been some pretty loud school board meetings.
Sure.
How did all this start?
So there's been concerns for the books that are in our libraries. I mean, we have 500,000 books in our libraries. It's probably the first time we've heard the concern brought up. So parents have been coming to the board meetings to express those concerns, on both sides, to be honest.
Some books contain tough subjects. They deal with issues of gender, of sexuality, and things like that. Why should these issues and subjects be available at all to kids in school? Why do we need them?
We also be clear, when we say kids in school, we're talking about like a broad umbrella here, right? We're talking like 5-year-olds, 17-year-olds, it feels like. Like, I understand, like, again, I've said, I'm like a broken record. If we're talking about 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds, I'm like, okay. But we're talking about like high schoolers. We're talking about like people who a lot of these topics are actually to be age appropriate for. Can we stop using the word kids to describe a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old? Like, if we're going to be using the same word to describe a 7-year-old, like, we have to make some we need to make some differentiation here, a difference here.
We are a public school district, okay? We're welcoming for students from a variety of ethnicities. You know, we welcome different genders. We accommodate our students.
Yeah, teenager is a better word.
And
if I told you, like, hey, this book mentioned masturbation and I gave it to kids, it's like, whoa. It's like, hey, but we gave this book to teenagers that mentioned masturbation. It's like, oh, well, they're teenagers. They're starting to do that anyway. That makes sense that you would see immediately the tenor of the conversation is completely shifted because of the words used.
Those nominal groups, we want students to be able to, you know, identify themselves as well. You want kids to feel welcome in the district, and so you want them to have access to that material.
Books that describe their experience.
Yeah, that they can identify with.
Some people might say that it's not a book's place, or it's not the school's place to teach my child about these issues, about sexuality and these sort of things. These are things you talk to with your parents, or your religious leaders, or people in the community. What would you tell them?
So I'd say they have the opt-out. You can opt out, no problem. But we have other parents that say, no, we want...
Wait, you can opt out? But dude, this keeps, like, the case against these books, like, at least against the one book we actually went into detail, it keeps getting weaker and weaker. I'm sorry.
This material for my kids. What about my kids that are in those nominal?
Like, what about, like, okay, let's let the religious leaders have an impact when it comes to teaching things like evolution then. Okay. Well, I could tell you guys about evolution, but that scientific fact could offend local religious leaders. Like, I understand those religious leaders can teach whatever they want in their you know, in their churches, on their pulpits, but this is public school. It should be a fact-based education.
Groups. We want that material for them. Why should they be deprived? What we've said is you can make a decision on your child, but you don't get a right to make a decision on every other child in the district. I understand that parents have a concern and we're listening, but it has been a huge distraction. Some of the civility has gone out the window.
But what about the people who don't know you, people who, you know, assume that you're peddling pornography through the school libraries?
I mean, I would just say that they're misinformed and, you know, get informed then.
What is the...
Dude, it's crazy that every school in America has gotten a subscription for Hustlers magazine for the first and second graders. I do think that's a little far, and that should be rolled back. It's weird that Biden did that, passed that law, passed that executive order.
Importance of not...
It's also weird he diverted funding from Social Security to do it. A little extreme for me.
Getting rid of books just because a certain group is asking for it. Why should we, if not resist, then at least think about why we should keep these books?
I mean, I think it's a slippery slope. You got to be careful. Where do you draw the line? And where does it end? That's why we have to have a process that is fair and that is reviewed and is followed to make sure that the books are appropriate and to make sure that we're not inappropriately pulling books off the shelves. I mean, where does it end? Where would you stop?
That was a great video. Unironically, man. Unironically. Oof. My goodness.